Hey everybody, it's Nate and Steph from Adventure in a Backpack. Today we are filming the second month in review of living in our camper van. So, what did we do this month?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's start with where did we end last month? Last month we had just made it to Salt Lake City and we were about to go to the Pursuit Series for the first time. So we went to the Pursuit Series in Snow Basin. After that, we left Utah and went to
Let's talk
Oregon.
about that. Let's talk about what we did along the way. How about that?
Okay.
So, the Pursuit Series. The Pursuit Series, if you didn't see, we put up a video about the one in Salt Lake. We put it up right after it happened. But anyway, I'm going to overlay it right now, so you're going to be seeing it. And so what it is it's basically like an adult summer camp. And it's focused on adventure. So if you like biking, if you like hiking, if you like backpacking, all this different stuff, you can go there and you can learn from either pros in the sport or guides in the sport. And basically it's a way to either experience these events like for the first time if you've never done it before, or if you are already fairly experienced in it, they have some more intermediate level classes that you can hone your skills and get better at those particular sports activities. So they had things all the way from like mountain biking to rock climbing to fly fishing to
Paddleboarding, kayaking, slacklining,
composting.
Yeah.
Wilderness crafting, where you go out and I didn't take that one. Did you take that one?
I didn't. I took the wilderness first aid though.
I think they were making like natural perfume out of like flowers and stuff like that.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Seemed pretty neat. But anyway, we said that to say this. Basically, in the future, this that was the very first one, and there was a second one that we went to later this last month. Anyway, and there's going to be more of them. And we need to know if any of our followers would like to go to one of these, basically as a group, as like with us essentially. So if that sounds like something that's up your alley, we need to know that. Let us know in the comments.
We need to know.
We need to know. Very, very important. So because it's a really, really cool thing, and we're not going to, I don't know, we don't get too passionate about promoting other things unless they're actually really, really cool.
It was super rad.
So we need to know if anybody would like to go to that. Basically,
yeah, so definitely let us know.
Yeah, so that was pretty much the extent of that. We left Snow Basin and went to...
Let's see, we went to Oregon. We went to Cascade Locks, Oregon for PCT Days, which is the celebration of the Pacific Crest Trail. We spent a couple of days there, and then we left, and that was the weekend of the solar eclipse. And so we happened to be in Oregon for the solar eclipse, which we didn't know what was going to happen. We were just kind of waiting it out. To see where we would end up going for the eclipse. We actually ended up going just south of Mount Hood and getting in the path of totality in this campsite that was out in the middle of nowhere, no one else around. Everyone else was about 50 miles south of us, in like some farm fields and stuff with 8 million other people. We actually drove down there and noped right out of there. So we found this campsite and it was just us. We called a couple of our friends, told them to come down. So it was just us and a couple of our friends, and we got to see totality, and it was really cool.
It was actually really cool. Yeah, I really wasn't sure what to expect. Like, a lot of times whenever things are hyped up a lot, I have a tendency, it's like, okay, this is so hyped up, there's no way it's going to live up to the hype. It was actually pretty cool. Like, I think it definitely met the hype. I think it exceeded the hype as far as like what I was expecting.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to be pretty neat, but it was way cooler than expected.
It was one of those things that like I was trying to take pictures and everything, and then finally I was just like, you know what, for once in my life, I'm going to put my camera down and enjoy this because this is really cool.
Yeah, so as far as pictures go, I know I've gotten several messages since then. They're like, Nate, like, what pictures have you gotten? Let me see your pictures from the eclipse. And I was taking pictures, and I kind of didn't really get any pictures. Like, I got pictures, but they didn't turn out. There's lots of really good pictures out there, And yeah, so it was just one of those things. Sometimes you miss, and I missed, but it was still
It
a really
happens.
cool experience, and so it was really neat.
Yeah. Cool. So after, let's see, after the eclipse, then we went to, where did we go? Portland. No. Yeah, Portland.
Cascade Locks to Portland.
Yeah, we went to Portland. And then we went out to the coast for a little while because it was really hot in Portland. So we were waiting on a package to arrive in Portland. So we went out to the coast, hung out there for a little while. It was a lot cooler.
Yeah, it was just like 2 days or something like that.
Yeah.
So nothing too crazy.
Then we came back into Portland and picked up our package and had our very first kind of informal, spur of the moment van meetup, which was super cool. We got to meet some people that we've been friends with on Facebook for a long time, on Instagram and all of that, and finally got to meet them in person. So we all hung out at the river for a little while and chatted, and then we all went and showed each other our vans, and it was super cool. So I would really love to do more of that in the future. So if any of you guys are interested in doing kind of more of a little bit more organized, more formal, not formal, but organized, van meetup, or just like friend meetup, any kind of meetup. If you guys are interested in that, let me know in the comments, and I would love to organize something like that. That would be super cool for us to be able to share our experiences, like actually with people in person. We love meeting people, and it would be super cool to actually like plan something. We all meet in a central area, go have some fun, have some adventures, whether that be hiking or mountain biking or paddling or just hanging out at the river or a lake or beach.
Yeah.
Something. Just hanging out.
Exactly.
So yeah, let me know if you're interested in that. Let's see. Okay, after we left Portland, we went to...
So we headed north to Seattle. We had to go up to Seattle. We had to go up to Luna Sandals, and we had to go to Outdoor Research to meet some friends that worked at both of those places and catch up with them, see what was going on, all that kind of stuff. But, Portland to Seattle's not that far, but we had essentially a week to get there, and so we actually drove back out. Let's see, which way did we go out? Did we go... Because we drove back east and drove around Mount St. Helens, and we took just forest roads up and around and all that kind of stuff. And then we were going to go up and around Mount Rainier as well. We made it all the way out to Yakima, but there were so many fires in the area, and if you saw our trying to avoid wildfires from the upload the other day, this has been a recurring theme in the PNW. So we tried like 3 different mountain passes to get to where we needed to go, and all 3 of them were closed just due to fire. And so basically we had to end up, and Stephanie will talk about this later, but we ended up getting to Seattle like 3 days too early, just because we didn't have a spot to stay because it was all so smoky. Places were closed. It was 105 degrees in Yakima. Just general, not too awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, beautiful scenery, except just Mother Nature is just fighting us a little bit this year. So
yep.
But
it is what it is. That's
happens.
The thing with you just got to stay flexible. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's see. After we left Seattle, then we went south.
Yep.
Yeah. So we went south from Seattle to Portland, and then further down on the interstate on I-5. Then we cut out to Coos Bay, and then took Highway 101 to Highway 1 in California, all the way down to San Francisco. So that has pretty much been our trip for...
Yeah, pretty much. And there's a vlog out on that one right now. It's a very long vlog. It's like 50 minutes long. But if you want to see a Highway 101 to Highway 1 north of San Francisco, see us avoiding wildfires and having roadside repairs. This is our first roadside repair.
Yes.
So there's a vlog on that, but we'll talk about all that just in brief. When are we ready for that? I'm looking at your list.
Well, let's end the where did we end up? Let's see. So San Francisco. The reason we went to San Francisco was actually we went south of San Francisco to Sanborn County Park in. Is that Sanborn? I don't know what city that's in.
It's just west of. My hat.
You too.
Okay.
Anyway, so that was for the second Pursuit series. So we went to the first one at the beginning of the month, and then we ended the month the same thing.
Fantastic way to end the month. So much fun.
Yes. Super cool. So because of those two, I'm just going to kind of jump around a little bit. So because of those two things that we did, starting the month and ending the month in those two areas. So we were actually there filming and taking pictures, covering it on our blog, things like that, and experiencing it. But that's not really something that we can take the dogs to. So we did end up having to spend a little bit of money there, boarding the dogs twice. So our expenses this month were a little bit higher than I would prefer them to be. Still lower than last month, but a little higher than I expect them to be.
That's kind of a business cost, really.
Yeah, it is. It's the cost of us doing business.
Yeah.
But it's definitely worth noting. And then what Nate was saying earlier about Seattle. So we got to Seattle 3 days earlier than we needed to be there to meet our friends. And so we ended up actually having to get a campsite, which we've talked about before. We don't typically we don't spend money on campsites. But we decided to this time because it was right on the water and it was cooler there. We were right in the city. We could get some stuff done. We cleaned the van and just hung out. It was worth it. It was $30 a night, so we spent $90 total on that. And we actually ended up we bought campsites 5 nights this month, so we spent $140 total on campsites this month. Again, not ideal, not something that we want to continue doing in the future, honestly,
not typical.
Yeah, but honestly, that's not horribly expensive, so I'm not too upset about that. So issues. What issues have we had this month?
Okay, so starting in Utah, no issues there. Let's see. Okay, so
Oregon.
Oregon, we had an issue. So a lot of the issues we talked about in our month one, we're pretty much still having those issues. Our problem with the turbo loss, it's becoming more constant now, but we still haven't pinpointed it out. We've tried everything that everybody has recommended so far, but it's okay.
Not true. We just bought a stethoscope. Somebody recommended we buy a stethoscope and
be able to pinpoint the leak a little better.
So we just bought a stethoscope. So we're going to try that probably here within the next couple weeks.
Yeah, very soon.
Maybe a week. Yeah.
So there was that. That's still going on. Water pump loudness is still going on. What else? There was a lot of stuff. And that's the thing. You have to kind of pick your battles. It's we don't really have, honestly, that's one of the struggles with me right now, and probably with you too, is that we don't have a really good place, just at the drop of a hat to work on things. And so the fact that I don't have a garage with a jack and jack stands and all this kind of stuff that's definitely a struggle. Having to put things off, even though it's not hurting anything. All the stuff that we're putting off isn't really hurting much, isn't hurting anything at all. It's just, I don't like having a check engine light on and just ignoring it, even though I know it's not hurting anything. It's just this internal struggle. So anyway, that was kind of a little mini rant. But anyway, back to Oregon. Problems we had in Oregon. So the day of the solar eclipse, we were having this problem. My drone wasn't charging, and we weren't really sure why. And turns out that there was our batteries weren't charging. And the reason our batteries weren't charging was because we kept tripping a breaker, and we weren't sure how to tripping a breaker, and not sure why, and all this kind of stuff. So turns out that the breaker was just undersized for the particular thing, and it was whenever the alternator was kicking in. So the solar panels will charge at 50 amps or so, but the alternator, it's a 150 amp alternator. So whenever it was 150 amp fuse, so it was basically right at that threshold. and yeah, was basically tripping it. The wire was rated to way above that, but it was just a nuisance breaker, if you will. So
that was a pretty easy fix. We just
once we found it, it was an easy fix. Once we figured out why, we spent most of the day diagnosing, and then $12 later, we had a new.
$12. That was like $50. That breaker. Anyway,
That happens when you can't buy it on Amazon.
Yeah.
You don't have 2 days to spare. But anyway, that's fixed.
Yeah. So we had an issue and fixed the issue. Woohoo! So the other issue that we had happen, and I just realized that this also happened in Oregon. So Oregon was two
Oh, that's true.
issues in Oregon.
Think about that.
We had our ABS, ESP, and traction control lights come on the dash all at the same time, and that's honestly kind of a freaky feeling when you see all of those start flashing at the same time. So obviously, you know that they're related to the same thing. So we did diagnose that. It's the wheel speed sensor on our driver's side rear wheel. We pulled the wheel off, just kind of in a roadside little parking lot area. We pulled the wheel off, cleaned the sensor out to try to fix it. That didn't work, so we're gonna have to either replace the sensor or pull the entire rotor off and clean the entire thing, which we couldn't do roadside. We need to have jack stands. We need to have, like what Nate was talking about earlier. We need to have more of a garage to be able to do that. So we'll probably either take it to a repair shop to have that done sometime this month, or we'll be able to do it ourselves. So this month we're actually going to be in San Diego for a while, and my grandma lives there, so we can use her house as kind of a home base and get all of these repairs done. So kind of excited to be able to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so moving on. Let's see. I already talked about that. So kind of another, not necessarily issue we had. We had our very first midnight knock on the door of the van from a cop, and just told us we were parked somewhere. There were not any no parking signs or anything like that up in this particular spot, but he told us that we weren't allowed to park there. It's just kind of a roadside pull-off vista point, I think, was what it was, on Highway 1 in California. So he told us we couldn't park there, and so we headed on down the road. We actually ended up doing, because this was, like I said, it was at midnight, or maybe past midnight. What we ended up doing was driving about 15 minutes down the road and pulling off on another spot that we also knew was illegal for us to park there. But we decided to risk a citation rather than risk our lives driving on Highway 1 at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning while we're tired and, you know, there's deer on the road.
Infested with deer.
Infested with deer. Anyway, so we decided to risk the citation and pulled over where we knew it was illegal. No problems. We didn't have anybody knock on the door. We didn't have anybody tell us we couldn't park there, and we didn't get any citations. So that was that was the risk we were willing to take, and we took it, and it worked out fine.
Yep.
But that was interesting. Yes. So let's see. That's really all for what has happened. Let's see. Systems check.
Okay, so Plasti Dip. We've been getting a lot of questions about our Plasti Dip video and like how's it holding up. Still holding up nice, pretty good. There's one spot that's on the back, basically where there would have been a window, that it's lifted up a little bit, like inside, like this little, I don't know, little spot right in there.
Little pocket.
There's a section that's like, I don't know, probably a foot this way and a foot this way, that it's lifted up like a 1/4 inch in a strip. Honestly, not noticeable unless you're like right up on it. I think it has gotten a little worse, but just keep an eye on it. And, you know, at the 6-month mark, when we do a new video over Plasti Dip, we will actually see, you know, how it's all held up. But still happy with it. Everybody asks about like, well, you know, how's it been holding up to washing it? And Washing it.
You guys assume we wash our van.
Yeah, we hop off on forest roads like literally every day or every other day, but we're not gonna wash it. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we'll.
The most amount of washing we do is we wash the windshield and the windows, and then occasionally we hop up top and wash the solar panels.
Yeah, we wash the solar panels like just with Windex, like just spray it down.
But we've never washed the van.
Yeah, Jesus washes our van occasionally. But like a little rain shower here and there, but that's about it. So, okay, plastic dip. What else? Let's see, cabinets. Cabinets are good.
Yeah, everything's holding
Stephanie
up.
fixed a trim piece that had fallen off.
I did.
She glued that back up. Lights are good. Fans are good. Engine is good enough.
Good minus the turbo.
Yeah, minus the turbo.
Yeah, everything, honestly,
suspension.
everything has...
Suspension, we still haven't messed with the suspension, so it's still knocking. We got a few good leads on, like, places that redo suspension and stuff like that. And so, I guess in Southern California, so we may investigate that if budget allows for heavily upgraded suspension. And if budget does not allow for heavily upgraded suspension, we will probably just try to fix that one little knock once we find it.
Right.
So, but that's going to be a thing we have to jack it up to see what exactly the problem is.
Month 3 is going to be interesting. That's going to be full of repairs to the van.
Yeah. People are asking about wintertime. We still haven't finalized a wintertime plan yet. We are going a few different ways that we have to keep a secret. I know. We have to keep some things a secret because we're not exactly sure, because business might take us one place or it might take another place. So stay tuned.
Either way, it'll be rad.
It'll be an adventure either way. Is that it?
That is literally everything that I have written down. I did skip over one thing for some reason. Our WeBoost signal booster has been super awesome to have. It has definitely... There have been times where we haven't had any signal at all. Even with the booster. But for the most part, we have been able to get at least some form of cell signal in places that most everyone else is not getting any signal. I know the other day we had a stretch where I was like, why are we not getting cell signal? Like, this is ridiculous. And then I realized the WeBoost was unplugged. Plugged it back in, and all of a sudden I had 4G. So
what that is because I don't think we've talked about it yet. A lot of people have asked, like, how do we get Wi-Fi when we are, out wherever? So we hotspot from our phones to our computer, which gives us, basically our 4G signal into Wi-Fi, so we can work or upload these videos or whatever the case is. Now, a lot of places the 4G signal isn't strong enough to do that, or there is no. I can't say there is no 4G signal, but what the booster does is it's basically a repeater. So your phone's just got a certain amount of energy that it can take and it can draw in the signal with. And that signal, basically, it just draws off of the battery. So it like has a little bit more power to work with. And so it takes the 4G signal from the air, from Magic, and then it repeats it inside of the van. And if you're out in the middle of nowhere where there is no signal, it's not going to like miraculously make a signal, but if there is a signal, it's going to boost it to something that is hopefully useful. So there you go. There's my sales pitch of it. So
cell phone magic.
Cell phone magic. So it actually works really good. So yeah.
Cool. So that's honestly all I have for last month. So this month going forward. Let's see, we're going to continue our road trip down Highway 1. So be sure to subscribe, because we're going to have a lot of adventures along Highway 1. And we're doing a lot more actual vlog style kind of day, taking you with us. So if you saw the video from last week, that's what we're going to continue doing, taking you guys along on our adventures. And Highway 1 is absolutely amazing. So we're going to continue down that all the way to San Diego. And so hopefully here in a couple of weeks, we'll end up in San Diego.
And come up with a new plan.
And a better plan.
A different plan.
A different plan.
Okay, so I think that's pretty much it, right?
I think so.
Yeah, so I guess last things first. Last things
Last
last.
things last.
If you have any questions, comments, things you would like to see or us elaborate on, be sure to ask them in the comments below. This is your channel. Anything that we can elaborate on comes from the comments that we get from you guys. So we appreciate comments and questions. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You're going to be seeing some icons pop up on your screen now. One is going to be a playlist for our Vanlife build vlogs. And the other one's going to be to our blog, which you can find like an index and pricing structures and everything like that for how much our van cost. Lastly, there's going to be a subscribe bubble, so be sure to subscribe, share this with whoever you think may like it, and until next time, we'll see you.
Bye.